Most people go through life struggling to connect with others, not because they're bad at it, but because no one ever taught them how to truly read people. Social intelligence isn't about being the loudest in the room or faking confidence. It's about understanding what others feel, seeing what's not being said, and knowing how to respond in a way that makes people feel seen, heard, and respected. When you know how to read people, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop walking away from conversations wondering if you said the wrong thing. Instead, you build stronger relationships, avoid unnecessary conflict, and earn real trust. This skill can change how people treat you, how much they open up to you, and how far you go in life. You don't need to be born with it. You can learn it. If you're ready to upgrade how you connect with others and finally understand what people really need, then let's dive in. Number 1. Observe body language to understand unspoken emotions. Most people walk into a room and think everyone else is doing better than them. They assume others have it all figured out. But the truth is, many are struggling quietly dealing with stress, doubt, fear, or pain. You can't always hear it in their words, but if you pay close attention, you can see it in their posture, their eyes, the way they hold their hands, the way they breathe. And this is where social intelligence really starts, when you start seeing people not just as bodies in space, but as human beings carrying real emotions, whether they say them out loud or not. You see, most people never really learn to read others. They hear words, but they miss the truth hiding behind them. That's because they haven't trained themselves to observe. And observing doesn't just mean looking at someone, it means noticing. When someone crosses their arms while speaking to you, it might mean they're closed off. But don't just guess, look deeper. Did they cross their arms because they're uncomfortable with the topic? Or are they cold? When someone avoids eye contact, they might be nervous. But is it anxiety from social pressure, or do they not trust you yet? Every physical cue has a story behind it. And your job, if you want to get better with people, is to understand that story. Most communication isn't spoken. That's the part nobody told us in school. We were taught how to give speeches, how to write essays, how to shake hands firmly and say hello with a smile. But nobody sat us down and said, "You see that slump in someone's shoulders? That could be a sign of fatigue or defeat, and that tells you more than anything they'll say." This is the kind of awareness that makes a difference in business, relationships, leadership, parenting, every part of life. Think of how much pain could be avoided if people just noticed more. The colleague who snaps at you might not be rude, they might be overwhelmed. The friend who cancels plans might not be flaky, they might be struggling with something you don't see. And if you just stop to observe the way their hands tremble, or how they don't smile like they used to, or how they avoid certain conversations, you'd know something's going on. But instead, we judge too fast. We speak before watching. We react instead of responding. That's where things fall apart. Now, if you want to develop this kind of awareness, you've got to train your eyes. Every time you talk to someone, watch how they move. How do they sit when they're relaxed versus when they're uncomfortable? How do their facial expressions change depending on the topic? When you say something personal, do their eyebrows lift? Do their lips tighten? Are they shifting in their seat? Are they nodding to agree or just nodding to end the conversation? These are not tricks. This is not manipulation. This is called being in tune with human emotion. It's called being present. When you walk into a room, don't just see faces. See energy. Some people walk in low, they're drained. You can tell by their slow steps and low voice. Others are wound up tight. They tap their foot or blink too much. This kind of emotional reading isn't perfect. It takes time. But the more you practice, the more accurate you get. You stop taking everything personally. You stop making assumptions. And you start getting it right. You start seeing people for where they are, not where you think they are. And let me tell you, when someone feels seen, really seen, it's powerful. Most people feel invisible in their daily lives. They go through the motions, put on the smile, say, "I'm fine," but deep down, they're carrying weight. When you notice that their voice is quieter than usual, or that they're fidgeting more than they used to, and you say, "You seem a little off today. Is everything all right?" You make them feel human again. You show them that someone cares. You give them a moment to breathe. That kind of connection is rare, but it starts with observation. This doesn't mean you try to diagnose people. It means you respect their silence, but you stay aware. Not to judge, but to understand. Not to control, but to support. Every relationship gets stronger when you tune into the non-verbal side of communication. And people begin to trust you, not because of what you say, but because they feel understood. They sense that you're not just listening to their words, but watching the whole picture. And that's what makes them open up. Now here's what else happens. The more you focus on others, the less self-conscious you become. A lot of people are nervous in conversations because they're too busy thinking about themselves. How do I look? What should I say next? What if I sound awkward? But the moment you turn that spotlight around and start observing the other person, your anxiety drops. You start to respond, not perform. You start to connect, not impress. That's real power. This kind of emotional awareness also helps you protect yourself. When you read people better, you avoid walking into traps. You pick up on bad intentions. You notice when someone's words don't match their energy. They say they support you, but their smile is tight and their posture is rigid. You hear encouragement, but you see jealousy. You sense manipulation. That's not paranoia. That's wisdom, and it starts with watching closely. You don't have to become an expert overnight. Just start today. Start paying attention to the people you see every day, your co-workers, your family, your friends. Watch how they act when they're happy versus when they're stressed. Compare their tone of voice across different situations. Look at their hands, their shoulders, their eyes. Every single part of the body has something to say. You don't need special training. You just need to slow down and care enough to notice. And once you do, you'll be shocked at what you've been missing. You'll realize how many people around you are hiding pain. You'll notice how often people lie with words, but tell the truth with their body. You'll become someone others trust, not because you're perfect, but because you pay attention. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're reading the room. You're adjusting. You're staying aware. And that kind of presence is rare. That kind of presence changes everything. Because in the end, success with people comes down to one thing: how well you understand what they're not saying. And that takes heart. That takes effort. That takes a decision to look closer, to care deeper, to stop assuming, and to start noticing. When you do that, you're not just improving your social skills, you're changing the quality of your life. And you're making other people's lives better too. Number 2, listen actively to truly grasp their perspective. Most people don't feel heard. That's the truth. You sit in a conversation, you share something that matters to you, and the other person nods, says, "Yeah," or "Okay," but they're not really there with you. They're thinking about what they want to say next. They're planning their response before you even finish your thought. That kind of half-listening wears people down. It makes them pull back. After a while, they stop sharing. They stop trusting. And the relationship, whether it's personal or professional, begins to fall apart. Real listening is rare, and that's why it's powerful. When you truly listen to someone, you make them feel important. You give them space to be real. You allow them to drop their guard. That's when trust begins. But it takes effort. Because active listening isn't just sitting there while someone talks. It's about giving your full attention. It's about being mentally present. It's about wanting to understand them more than you want to be understood. You've probably had conversations where you could tell the other person wasn't really with you. Maybe they kept glancing at their phone. Maybe they nodded at the wrong time. Maybe they responded with something that had nothing to do with what you just said. That moment, when someone's not really listening, feels cold. It feels empty. And we all know that feeling. But what if you were the one giving someone the opposite experience? What if you were the person who made someone feel truly heard? To do that, you have to shut off the noise in your head. You have to stop thinking about what you're going to say next. You have to stop analyzing the moment while it's happening. Just be there. Focus on the words. Watch their face. Listen to the emotion underneath what they're saying. Are they frustrated? Are they scared? Are they proud? Words carry more than information. They carry feelings. And if you're not tuned in, you'll miss what matters most. People often don't say things the perfect way. They might stumble or repeat themselves. They might talk in circles before they get to the point. And if you're impatient, you'll check out. But if you stay with them, if you show that you're listening not just for information, but for understanding, you give them room to open up more. That's when they say the thing they didn't plan to say. That's when you get to the truth of what they're really feeling. Now, how do you show someone you're actively listening? Start with your body. Face them. Keep your eyes on them, not the door, not your phone, not the clock. Nod when something resonates. Respond with short confirmations, not to interrupt, but to show you're engaged. Say things like, "I see," or "That makes sense," or "That must have been tough." These are small responses, but they keep the connection alive. Then, when they finish speaking, don't rush to your response. Reflect first. Say back what you understood. For example, "It sounds like you were under a lot of pressure," or "So you felt ignored even after doing all that work." These reflections show that you got it. They show that you were really there. And more often than not, the other person will say, "Yes, exactly," or they'll correct you and say, "Well, not quite what I meant was." That's where deeper understanding starts. Most people aren't looking for someone to fix their problems. They just want to be heard. They want to know that what they're going through matters to someone. And when you give them that, you build a bond that lasts. In business, this makes you a better leader. In friendships, it makes you more trusted. In love, it makes you more connected. Because the heart of all relationships is understanding. And understanding starts with listening. Sometimes people hesitate to talk because they've been interrupted too many times. They've been told how to feel, or they've been rushed through their thoughts. So now, when you ask them what's wrong, they say, "Nothing." But you can tell there's something behind that. And instead of pushing, try slowing down. Say, "I'm here. Take your time." That pause alone can make them feel safe enough to speak. And when they do, listen like it's the most important thing in the world, because in that moment, it is. You'll notice that when you listen actively, people say more. They feel less judged. They feel less alone. You become the person they come to when it really matters. Not because you always have answers, but because you always have presence. You're not just a body in the room. You're someone who cares enough to stop and hear them out. And this matters in every area of life. In work meetings, when someone shares an idea and the room moves on too fast, you be the one who says, "Wait, go back to that. I want to understand what you meant." In family, when your child says they're fine, but their voice sounds tired, you say, "You don't sound fine. What's on your mind?" In your marriage, when your partner vents about their day, don't jump in with advice. Just sit in it with them. Let them release it. Let them know you're right there. This kind of listening takes discipline, because the world moves fast. Distractions are everywhere. We're used to multitasking, splitting our attention, jumping from one thing to another. But people can feel when your attention is divided. They can sense when your mind is elsewhere, and they stop opening up. They stop trusting. That's the cost of poor listening. On the other hand, when you give someone your full presence, it feels rare. It feels like a gift. It tells them, "You matter to me." You might not always agree with them. You might not have the same viewpoint. But listening is not the same as agreeing. Listening means you respect them enough to try and understand where they're coming from. It means you care enough to explore their world, even for just a few minutes. And that alone can heal a lot of things. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to say all the right things, but you do have to care enough to listen well. Practice every day. When someone speaks, pause everything else. Turn your full attention to them. Listen for tone. Listen for pauses. Listen for the words they don't say. And when they finish, respond with care, not control. With curiosity, not judgment. With presence, not pressure. Because the truth is, most people don't need someone who's always right. They need someone who's real, someone who shows up, someone who listens not just with their ears, but with their heart. And you can be that person. It doesn't cost anything, but it means everything. Number 3, maintain eye contact to build instant trust. One of the biggest challenges in human interaction is the invisible wall that keeps people from truly connecting. Many walk around feeling lonely even when surrounded by others because they never break through that barrier. The simplest way to start tearing it down is by holding steady eye contact. But most people avoid this because it feels uncomfortable, intense, or even threatening. The truth is, eye contact is one of the fastest and most effective ways to create trust and connection. It says more than words ever could. When you look directly into someone's eyes, you're telling them you see them. You're telling them you value what they have to say. This simple act triggers a powerful response in the brain. It signals safety. It invites openness. It tells the other person that you're present with them, not distracted, not judging, not hiding behind a shield. This presence makes people relax. It lowers their defenses. It creates space for honest communication. But the problem many face is that they either look away too quickly or stare too long. Both can be misread. Too little eye contact suggests disinterest or dishonesty. It makes people wonder if you are hiding something or not confident enough to meet their gaze. Too much can feel aggressive or uncomfortable. The goal is to find a balance that feels natural and sincere. This takes practice and awareness. You have to understand that eye contact is not about staring someone down. It's about connecting with their humanity. When you hold eye contact, your mind should focus on understanding the person, not judging them. Think of it like a bridge between two souls. You're saying without words, I am here with you. I respect you. I am listening. This is how trust begins to build. Many people are afraid to make eye contact because they fear vulnerability. They think if they look someone in the eye, they will expose their weaknesses or insecurities. But the opposite is true. When you meet someone's eyes, you show strength, you show courage, you show willingness to be real. People are drawn to that kind of honesty. It disarms suspicion. It invites sincerity. The power of eye contact goes beyond just individuals. In a group setting, maintaining eye contact with different people creates a sense of inclusion. It breaks down feelings of isolation. When you speak and make eye contact with everyone, each person feels acknowledged. They feel like their voice matters. This raises the energy in the room and opens the door for more meaningful conversations. Many leaders underestimate this simple tool. They rush through conversations, glance around, or avoid looking directly at people. When this happens, their message loses impact. People listen with their eyes as much as their ears. If you want to inspire, influence, or lead, mastering eye contact is essential. It is a silent message that says you are confident, trustworthy, and engaged. Think about the last time you had a conversation with someone who never looked at you. How did it make you feel? Dismissed, maybe even invisible. Now recall a moment when someone locked eyes with you and held your gaze just long enough to make you feel important. It sticks with you. It creates a connection that lasts beyond the conversation. That is the kind of impact you want to have on others. Sometimes people avoid eye contact because of cultural differences or personal discomfort. If you notice this, be patient. Adjust your approach with kindness. Not everyone is ready or used to sustained eye contact. In those cases, respect their boundaries while still showing genuine attention. You can do this by occasionally meeting their eyes and then softly looking away. This balance keeps the connection alive without causing discomfort. Another key is to use eye contact along with facial expressions. Your eyes can show warmth, curiosity, or empathy. When your eyes smile, people feel it. When your eyes soften, people sense safety. When your eyes focus, people know you mean business. Eyes are windows to emotions. They reveal truth faster than words ever could. Avoid looking down at the floor or at your phone when talking. This sends a message that the person is not worth your attention. It makes you appear distracted or disinterested. Instead, lift your chin slightly, open your eyes wider, and maintain eye contact comfortably. This shows you are ready to engage fully. Sometimes when emotions run high, people want to look away. That's normal. But if you want to build trust, practice staying grounded. Look into their eyes without flinching. It does not mean you have to hold the gaze endlessly, but do not break it too soon either. There is a rhythm to it. Look long enough to let the connection form, then gently shift your gaze and return again. Children instinctively use eye contact to connect with caregivers. This early interaction shapes their sense of security and belonging. As adults, we often forget this simple tool. Relearning it can improve every relationship you have. It helps you understand people better and lets them know they are truly seen. When speaking, make sure your eye contact matches your message. If you are expressing excitement, your eyes should sparkle. If you are sharing something serious, your eyes should convey calm and focus. This alignment creates authenticity. People trust what they see in your eyes more than the words coming out of your mouth. In moments of disagreement or conflict, eye contact can be a game changer. It can de-escalate tension by showing openness and honesty. Avoiding eye contact in such moments signals avoidance or dishonesty. Holding gentle eye contact, even when the conversation is difficult, signals courage and respect. It can turn conflict into an opportunity for understanding. Practice eye contact every day. Start with strangers. Hold their gaze for a second longer than usual. Notice their reaction. See how it changes the energy between you. Then move to friends and family. Make eye contact during conversations and see how it deepens your bond. Over time, this becomes natural. It becomes a tool you use without thinking because you understand its power. Some people say they are shy or nervous. They worry about making others uncomfortable. But real confidence is not about overpowering someone with your gaze. It is about steady, calm presence. A look that says you care enough to be fully there. That kind of eye contact invites trust, not fear. In business, eye contact can open doors. It makes interviews better, negotiations smoother, and presentations more convincing. When you look people in the eye, you show integrity. You communicate that you stand behind your words. You signal that you are someone to be taken seriously. Eye contact is a skill that anyone can improve. It requires practice, patience, and the willingness to be vulnerable. But the rewards are huge. You become more approachable, more memorable, and more influential. People feel comfortable around you. They want to listen. They want to be part of what you're building. Remember that building trust through eye contact is a gift you give to others. It says, I am here for you. I see you. And when people feel seen, they open up in ways that words alone cannot achieve. This is the foundation of true connection. This is the art of social intelligence in its purest form. Number 4, match their tone to create natural connection. Everyone has experienced a conversation that felt off. You know the type. You try to talk with someone, but the words seem to bounce off instead of land. There is no rhythm, no flow, no spark. It feels awkward or forced, like two people speaking different languages without realizing it. What most don't realize is that a large part of connection depends not just on what you say, but how you say it. The tone you use is a powerful signal to the other person, one that tells them if you are on their side or if you are distant and disconnected. Matching someone's tone means listening beyond the words to the feeling behind them. It means tuning into their energy, their pace, their volume, and the emotion carried in their voice. People don't just hear your words, they feel your tone. When your tone aligns with theirs, they feel understood. It creates an invisible thread that pulls you closer together, making the conversation flow naturally. The reality is, we are wired to pick up on these vocal signals instantly. When you talk with someone whose tone is warm, calm, and friendly, you respond better to their message than if they spoke in a harsh or cold voice. When someone sounds rushed or nervous, you can feel that urgency and anxiety whether or not they say it outright. If you want to build trust and connection, ignoring tone is a mistake. It is like trying to dance to music you cannot hear. Most people speak in a way that reflects their current mood or mindset. Sometimes their tone is excited and high-pitched when they share good news. Other times it is slow and low when they feel tired or down. Recognizing these cues helps you adjust your own tone so the other person feels comfortable. If they are speaking softly and slowly, lowering your voice and slowing your speech makes them feel safer to open up. If they are energetic and lively, matching that energy invites them into your world. Matching tone does not mean copying or mocking the other person. It means reflecting their emotion honestly and respectfully. If they are upset, a sharp, cheerful tone will feel jarring and insincere. Instead, a calm, steady tone shows you are present with their pain. If they are joyful, a flat or monotone voice can kill the mood. Matching their enthusiasm shows you share their happiness. This is why many successful communicators pay close attention to tone. Salespeople who adjust their voice to match their customers' mood sell more. Leaders who speak with appropriate tone inspire confidence. Parents who match their child's tone build stronger bonds. This is not about manipulation. It is about empathy and respect. It is about meeting people where they are. When you consciously tune your tone to match another person's, you create what feels like a conversation between equals. The other person senses that you understand their emotional state without having to say it. This is powerful because most people want to be seen and heard, not just in words, but in feeling. Your tone says, "I get you." That is a rare gift. Many people underestimate how much tone affects their message. They think content is king and tone is secondary. But in reality, tone is the soul of communication. It colors every sentence and shapes how it lands. You could say the same words with different tones and produce opposite effects. One can inspire trust, the other can cause suspicion. One can build connection, the other can create distance. A practical way to develop this skill is to slow down and listen carefully in every conversation. Pay attention not just to what is said, but how it is said. Notice the pitch, rhythm, and emotion behind the words. Then adjust your tone to match theirs naturally. This does not require a script or overthinking. It is simply awareness and a willingness to connect. It is also important to be genuine. People detect fake tones quickly. If you are naturally calm but try to sound overly excited, the other person will sense something is off. Instead, find a middle ground where you can be authentic and still adjust enough to connect emotionally. This balance takes practice but becomes easier with time. Tone matching is especially crucial in difficult conversations. When someone is angry or upset, responding with a harsh or defensive tone only escalates the situation. But when you lower your tone, soften your voice, and speak with calm intention, you help diffuse tension. The other person feels less attacked and more heard. This creates space for dialogue and resolution. On the other hand, matching a positive tone can lift the energy in a room. When people are excited about an idea or achievement, matching that excitement with your voice energizes the group. It turns ordinary moments into memorable experiences. This emotional synchronization makes people feel connected to you and each other. When talking to someone who is shy or reserved, matching a softer, gentler tone encourages them to share more. It builds trust and signals that you are patient and kind. This can open doors to conversations that would otherwise stay closed. You become a safe place for people to reveal their true selves. In business settings, tone matching can make or break relationships. A client who senses that you speak with genuine warmth and understanding is more likely to trust you and stay loyal. A colleague who hears respect and calm in your voice is more willing to collaborate. This subtle skill strengthens your influence without any extra effort. Remember that tone also includes non-verbal sounds like laughter, sighs, or pauses. These give clues about how someone feels beyond words. Matching these cues deepens the connection because you are responding to the whole person, not just the message. It shows you are tuned in and care. One of the biggest benefits of matching tone is that it reduces misunderstandings. When two people are out of sync emotionally, even simple messages can be misinterpreted. Tone alignment creates clarity. It smooths the path for honest communication and prevents unnecessary conflict. Matching tone also builds confidence in yourself. When you see the positive response from others, you feel more comfortable in social situations. You realize that connection is not about saying perfect things, but about showing up with awareness and care. This boosts your social intelligence and makes interactions more rewarding. The practice of tone matching trains you to be present. It pulls your attention into the moment, making every conversation richer. This presence is magnetic. People want to be around those who make them feel understood and valued. To summarize without ending, developing the ability to match tone takes intention. It requires you to observe, listen, and adjust. It means putting aside distractions and focusing on the emotional climate of the conversation. When you do this consistently, you build stronger relationships that stand the test of time. This skill is a cornerstone of social intelligence. It is a tool that anyone can learn to deepen connections, inspire trust, and communicate more effectively. Matching tone is not just about words, it is about creating a shared emotional experience that brings people closer together. Number 5. Ask thoughtful questions to show genuine interest. Most people go through conversations feeling unheard and unseen. They talk, but sense the other person is only waiting for their turn to speak. This creates distance, even when two people are physically close. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to break through this barrier is by asking thoughtful questions. These are not the typical shallow questions that fill awkward silences. Thoughtful questions dig deeper. They invite people to share what truly matters to them. When you ask questions that show genuine interest, you communicate respect and care without saying a word. Asking thoughtful questions means more than just filling space or keeping a conversation going. It means paying attention to the details of what someone says and building on them. It means listening so closely that you can ask something meaningful, something that touches the heart of their experience. When you do this, you show that you are fully present and that their words have weight. This makes people feel valued and understood. The hardest part for many is overcoming the fear of silence or rejection. They worry about asking the wrong question or sounding nosy. But the truth is, most people welcome genuine curiosity. It is rare for someone to ask a question that comes from a place of real interest. Most questions in everyday talk are routine or superficial. Thoughtful questions stand out because they invite honesty and connection. A thoughtful question is one that encourages the other person to reflect and share more than just facts. Instead of asking what someone does for work, you might ask what they love most about their job. Instead of asking where someone is from, you might ask what memory from their hometown they cherish. These questions open doors to stories, emotions, and values. They reveal what motivates and inspires a person. When you ask such questions, you are not just gathering information, you are building bridges. People sense this and respond with openness. They lean in because they feel safe and respected. Your curiosity becomes a magnet that draws out their true selves. Thoughtful questions also help you avoid common conversational traps. They prevent talk from becoming shallow or competitive. Instead, conversations become opportunities for learning and growth. When people share deeply, the relationship shifts from casual to meaningful. Another important aspect is timing. Knowing when to ask a question is just as crucial as what you ask. Asking a heavy question too early can overwhelm or intimidate. Asking it at the right moment, when the person feels comfortable, invites openness. Reading these cues is part of social intelligence. It also means avoiding rapid-fire questions that feel like an interrogation. Thoughtful questions give space for answers. They allow for pauses and reflection. Sometimes silence after a question is a gift because it shows the other person is thinking deeply. Respecting that silence encourages even more honesty. Questions that reflect back what someone has said show that you are truly listening. For example, if someone mentions a challenge they faced, asking how they felt during that time shows empathy. It tells them you care about their experience, not just the facts. This deepens trust and connection. Being curious is natural to humans. We want to understand others because we want to be understood. Thoughtful questions tap into this universal desire. They create a shared space where vulnerability is welcomed, not feared. When you practice this, your conversations become rich tapestries of human experience. Many people avoid asking questions because they fear the answers. They worry about what they might learn or how to respond. But bravery in conversation is about embracing uncertainty. It is about trusting that connection is more important than perfect control. Thoughtful questions create this openness. In professional settings, this skill can transform relationships. When colleagues or clients feel that you genuinely want to know their thoughts and feelings, they become more cooperative and engaged. It moves interactions beyond transactions into partnerships. This builds loyalty and respect. Parents and teachers who ask thoughtful questions create environments where children feel safe to explore and express themselves. This nurtures confidence and emotional intelligence. The ripple effect lasts a lifetime. To improve this skill, start by listening deeply. Pay attention to details others might miss. Notice emotions behind words. Then ask questions that invite expansion. Avoid yes or no questions. Instead, ask open-ended questions that encourage stories. Practice patience in conversations. Allow people to answer fully without rushing them. Show gratitude for their openness. This reinforces their willingness to share. Thoughtful questions also reveal your own character. They show that you are humble enough to admit you do not know everything and curious enough to learn from others. This humility builds respect faster than any self-promotion. Asking genuine questions requires you to put aside your own agenda. It means focusing entirely on the other person's experience. This shift from self-centeredness to other-centeredness is at the heart of social intelligence. It is what separates meaningful relationships from surface-level ones. When conversations are filled with thoughtful questions, people feel a sense of belonging. They feel seen not just for what they do, but for who they are. This feeling is rare and precious. The habit of asking thoughtful questions also sharpens your observation skills. You become more aware of subtle cues in tone, body language, and emotion. This awareness makes you a better communicator overall. Remember that the goal is connection, not interrogation. Your questions should invite, not pressure. They should open doors gently, not force them open. This requires emotional sensitivity and respect. There will be times when people do not want to answer. Respect their boundaries. Do not push. Sometimes the best way to show genuine interest is to accept silence with grace. Thoughtful questions are an investment. They cost little but yield great returns in trust and intimacy. They are the glue that binds conversations into relationships. Each time you ask a meaningful question, you plant a seed of connection. With care and attention, these seeds grow into bonds that enrich your life and the lives of others. This skill is not something you master once and forget. It is a lifelong practice. Each conversation offers a new chance to improve, to deepen, to connect. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You start seeing conversations not as chores, but as opportunities to discover and inspire. Asking thoughtful questions is an act of kindness. It shows you care enough to listen beyond words. It honors the person sitting across from you as someone worthy of your time and attention. This simple act has the power to transform loneliness into friendship, strangers into allies, and moments into memories. It is one of the most effective tools in the art of reading and responding to people. Number 6. Read group dynamics before joining a conversation. It is a reality most people face often, standing at the edge of a group, unsure whether to jump in or stay back, feeling invisible or awkward because the flow of the conversation is already set without you. Many lose opportunities simply because they miss the subtle signals that tell them when and how to join a group talk. Understanding group dynamics is not about manipulation or being sneaky. It is about respect. Respect for the rhythm of the interaction and the feelings of everyone involved. It is a skill that separates those who connect easily from those who struggle to be heard. When you first approach a group, the conversation may seem like a whirlwind of words and gestures. People are exchanging ideas, laughing, debating. But beneath all that noise is a pattern, a structure. Some voices lead, some follow, some listen quietly. People align in certain ways. Some hold attention more than others. Reading these patterns requires quiet observation and mental patience. It means tuning in to what is happening rather than rushing to speak. One of the first things to notice is who is talking the most. Usually the person who speaks frequently or with energy holds influence. They may set the tone and direction of the conversation. Watching how others react to this person reveals how power flows within the group. Are people agreeing, interrupting, or avoiding eye contact? These cues tell you the mood and openness of the group. Another crucial factor is the emotional climate. Are people relaxed or tense, smiling or frowning? Body posture tells volumes about how safe and welcomed people feel. A group with open and relaxed postures is more inviting. One where members look down or turn away signals discomfort or disagreement. Sensing these feelings can guide you in how to approach and what to say. Listening to the flow of the conversation also matters. Is the group exchanging ideas quickly or having a slow, thoughtful talk? Are the topics light and fun or serious and deep? This gives you clues about what is valued in that moment. Matching your contribution to the pace and tone increases the chance your words will land well. It is important to spot moments of pause or transition. When a topic ends or energy shifts, these gaps are the best times to enter. Jumping in too soon can seem rude or intrusive. Waiting for the natural break shows you respect the existing dialogue. When you time your entry well, people are more likely to welcome your presence. Pay attention to how people use eye contact. Who looks at whom? When someone glances in your direction or holds your gaze, it is often an invitation to join. Sometimes a brief look is a signal that your input is desired. Missing these cues means missing connection. Recognizing subgroups within the larger group is another part of reading dynamics. People naturally cluster with those they feel closest to or agree with. These clusters may have inside jokes or shared references. Being aware of these relationships prevents awkward moments and helps you find common ground. If you can identify someone who seems more open or friendly, approaching them first can be a way to ease into the group. Tone of voice varies within a group as well. Some may speak warmly and encouragingly, others sharply or dismissively. Hearing these tones helps you judge how safe it is to express your thoughts. If the mood is hostile or competitive, joining with a calm and neutral comment might help de-escalate tension. If it is light-hearted, a playful remark might fit better. Sometimes groups use non-verbal signals to manage who speaks next. Nods, gestures, or shifts in body position can indicate whose turn it is. Being aware of these subtle signs allows you to step in without interrupting the flow. It also demonstrates social awareness and respect. Reading group dynamics also means managing your own presence. Your body language, facial expressions, and energy level communicate your intentions before you speak. Approaching with confidence but not arrogance creates openness. Smiling and keeping your posture relaxed signal friendliness. Avoiding crossed arms or a tense face prevents others from feeling you are defensive or unapproachable. People are incredibly sensitive to authenticity. Trying too hard to fit in or changing yourself drastically is obvious. Observing group dynamics is not about losing yourself, but about connecting from your true self in a way that the group can receive easily. In moments where the group conversation is fast-moving and you feel lost, listening quietly and observing is still valuable. Sometimes your role is to gather information and understand before contributing. This patience pays off because when you do speak, your words carry more weight. There are times when a group is closed or hostile to new members. This is part of human nature, but not a reflection of your worth. Recognizing when a group is not welcoming allows you to save energy and seek connection elsewhere. This discernment is part of social intelligence and self-respect. The ability to read group dynamics also extends beyond social settings into workplaces, meetings, and community gatherings. Leaders who master this skill create environments where everyone feels heard and valued. They know when to speak, when to listen, and when to encourage others. This creates trust and cooperation. For those who feel socially anxious, learning to read group dynamics can be a game changer. It reduces the fear of the unknown and increases confidence. Understanding that group interactions have patterns and signals takes away randomness. It turns socializing into a skill you can develop. To practice, start by watching groups in public spaces. Notice how people enter and leave conversations. Observe their body language and facial expressions. Think about what makes some people more accepted than others. Reflect on how timing affects whether a comment is welcomed. When you next approach a group, slow down your impulse to speak. Take a moment to scan the environment. Look for opportunities to join rather than forcing your way in. Adjust your energy to match the group. This respect opens doors. Reading group dynamics is about creating harmony, not control. It is about honoring the flow of human interaction and adding your voice when the moment is right. This awareness builds genuine connections and reduces social friction. Over time, this skill makes you a natural in any gathering. People will notice how you seem to fit in effortlessly without losing your uniqueness. They will trust your timing and value your contributions. Group conversations are like dances without music. You learn the steps by watching the rhythm and feeling the movement of others. When you align with the group's energy, your presence becomes part of the whole. Remember, social intelligence is not about being the loudest or smartest person. It is about being the most aware and respectful participant. Reading group dynamics gives you that awareness. It guides you to respond in ways that create connection and respect. This skill will serve you not only in social moments, but in every relationship you build. The groups you belong to will become sources of strength, support, and growth, because you understand how to enter and engage with intention and care. Number 7. Use empathy to respond with emotional accuracy. Most people find themselves in moments when words fail to capture the true feelings of others. You have met someone whose eyes reveal a story deeper than their voice lets on. You want to respond, but you hesitate, worried your words might miss the mark. This experience is common. Without empathy, communication can become mechanical or even harmful. True connection demands more than listening or hearing. It requires feeling what the other person feels and responding in a way that respects their emotional state. Empathy is not just kindness. It is an essential skill that sharpens how you relate and support those around you. Empathy starts with an openness to sense beyond the spoken words. People often mask their pain, frustration, or joy with surface expressions. A slight tremor in the voice, a pause before answering, or a flicker in their eyes can reveal the true emotion beneath. If your response fails to acknowledge this layer, the other person may feel misunderstood or isolated. Emotional accuracy means you identify and reflect back the feelings they carry, not just the facts they share. One of the hardest parts of empathy is silencing your own judgment and assumptions. When you listen with your mind racing to form opinions or solutions, you miss the emotional message. Empathy demands you be fully present, without distractions or mental chatter. It calls for patience to let the other person express themselves fully, even if what they say is uncomfortable or confusing. You show respect by honoring their experience without rushing to fix it. Recognizing emotions also means understanding the context. Sometimes people express anger, sadness, or anxiety for reasons not immediately obvious. It may be connected to past experiences or fears that influence how they react in the moment. When you respond with empathy, you consider these unseen layers. Your words then become anchors, not just responses. They provide safety and validation rather than dismissal or minimization. Empathy in response does not always mean agreement or approval. You can acknowledge someone's feelings and still hold a different view. The key is to separate the emotion from the content of the message. For example, if a colleague expresses frustration about a project, you might say, "I can see this is really stressful for you." This shows you hear the emotion without necessarily agreeing with their opinion. It builds trust and opens space for honest dialogue. The tone and manner of your response carry as much weight as the words themselves. A gentle voice, calm pace, and warm facial expression communicate safety. If your body language is tense or rushed, it contradicts your empathetic intent. People pick up on these subtle cues, even when they are not aware of it consciously. Your emotional presence becomes a bridge, inviting others to open up rather than close off. Empathy also requires you to control your own emotional reactions. When faced with someone's pain or anger, it is easy to become defensive or uncomfortable. Yet your ability to remain composed and centered models emotional strength. It helps the other person feel supported rather than isolated. This emotional regulation is a key part of responding with accuracy. It is not about suppressing feelings, but managing them so you can be fully available. Responding with emotional accuracy means matching the intensity of the feeling expressed. If someone shares a small disappointment, a huge show of sympathy may feel overwhelming or insincere. Conversely, if a person reveals deep grief, a casual response can feel cold or dismissive. Your goal is to calibrate your reaction so it fits the emotional weight of their experience. This sensitivity communicates respect and understanding. Sometimes empathy means being silent but fully present. Words are not always necessary or helpful. Your attentive gaze, nod, or gentle touch can say, "I am here with you in your pain or joy." These moments of shared presence create connection beyond language. They reassure the person they are not alone in their emotions. Empathy also enhances your ability to solve conflicts or challenges. When you understand the feelings beneath the surface, you can address the root causes rather than just symptoms. Your solutions become more effective because they consider emotional realities, not just practical facts. This builds cooperation and strengthens relationships. Developing empathy is a practice that requires humility. You must accept that you do not have all the answers and that your perspective is limited. It involves learning from every interaction and adjusting your responses based on what you observe and feel. Empathy grows stronger when you ask yourself how it feels to be in the other person's shoes and let that guide your response. In everyday life, empathy improves every relationship. It turns routine conversations into meaningful exchanges. It reduces misunderstandings and frustration because you are tuned in to the real message. Your presence becomes a source of comfort and encouragement for those around you. To build empathy, start by slowing down your responses. Listen fully without interrupting. Notice not just what is said, but how it is said. Pay attention to facial expressions and body language. Imagine the emotions behind the words, then respond with honesty and care. Empathy also means checking in with others about their feelings. Sometimes asking simple questions like, "How are you really doing?" or "What are you feeling right now?" invites deeper sharing. It shows you value their inner experience and want to connect beyond surface talk. Being empathetic does not weaken you. It strengthens your emotional intelligence and resilience. It builds bridges in places where walls once stood. People respond to empathy with gratitude and openness. It multiplies your influence because it creates bonds of trust and respect. In moments of difficulty or conflict, empathy offers a path forward. It shifts focus from winning or losing to understanding and healing. When you respond with emotional accuracy, you become a force for peace in any interaction. This skill does not come naturally to everyone, but it can be learned and refined. It requires courage to face uncomfortable emotions, both your own and others. It demands commitment to being present and engaged, even when it is challenging. Remember, empathy is the heart of social intelligence. It transforms ordinary communication into powerful connection. It empowers you to respond not just with words, but with the understanding and care that every human being needs. Practice empathy daily. Listen deeply, feel fully, respond with kindness and truth. Your relationships will thrive, and your life will grow richer because you honor the emotional world of others as well as your own. Number 8. Mirror subtle gestures to increase rapport quickly. There is a powerful truth about human connection that many overlook. The way people move, the way they hold their hands, the slight tilt of their head, these are all messages. Without realizing it, when you mirror someone's gestures, you are telling them, "I understand you. I am with you." This silent communication builds a bridge between hearts faster than words ever could. Yet most people fail to notice these subtle signals or dismiss them as unimportant. That is why they struggle to create genuine bonds. The art of mirroring is not about copying someone like a puppet. It is about tuning into their natural rhythm and reflecting it back in a way that feels comfortable and sincere. When done well, it sparks trust and harmony instantly. In everyday interactions, people seek familiarity. They want to feel seen and accepted. When your posture matches theirs, when you echo the pace of their speech or the way they lean forward or back, you become a mirror for their energy. This triggers a deep psychological response that relaxes defenses. The other person begins to feel more open and understood. Mirroring acts as a silent invitation to connect on a level beyond surface conversation. The secret lies in subtlety. Overdoing it can come off as mocking or insincere. The goal is to gently reflect key gestures or expressions. For example, if someone smiles briefly, a soft smile in return creates warmth. If they lean slightly to one side, a small shift of your body in the same direction signals attentiveness. These tiny movements communicate you are engaged and aligned with their emotional state. Timing matters too. Mirroring should follow naturally after the other person's action, not before or at the same moment. This slight delay shows you are responding thoughtfully rather than simply mimicking. It is the difference between connection and caricature. As you practice this skill, you will become more sensitive to the rhythms of conversation and the nonverbal cues that reveal true feelings. Mirroring is especially powerful in moments of tension or discomfort. When two people face disagreement or uncertainty, mirroring gestures can calm anxiety. It reassures them that despite differences, you respect their presence and perspective. This opens space for dialogue and problem-solving rather than confrontation. Children naturally mirror those around them. It is how they learn social cues and build relationships. Adults who forget this instinct lose an essential tool for emotional connection. Reawakening this ability helps you bridge gaps between people from different backgrounds or viewpoints. It creates a common language that transcends words. In professional settings, mirroring increases influence. Leaders who match the body language of their team members foster cooperation and trust. Clients feel understood and valued. Negotiations proceed more smoothly because emotional rapport is already established. This does not mean sacrificing your own authenticity. Rather, it means adapting your communication style to meet others where they are emotionally. The benefits extend to personal relationships as well. Partners who mirror each other's gestures and expressions build deeper intimacy. They signal care and presence without speaking. Friends who do this naturally feel closer and more comfortable sharing their true selves. Mirroring deepens emotional bonds and creates a sense of belonging. To develop this skill, start by observing people carefully. Notice how they hold their hands, how their shoulders move when they talk, how their facial expressions change with emotions. Pay attention to breathing patterns and the speed of their speech. Then, practice reflecting one or two of these behaviors gently during your interactions. It is better to focus on a few small gestures than to try and match everything at once. Practice in low-stakes situations first, such as casual conversations with friends or co-workers. Notice how mirroring changes the atmosphere and how people respond. Over time, it will become a natural part of your communication style, enhancing your ability to connect deeply and quickly. Be mindful to keep your expressions genuine. Mirroring is about building rapport, not manipulation. People sense when gestures are forced or fake. Authenticity paired with subtle mirroring creates a powerful magnetic effect. It is important to remember that cultural differences influence body language and acceptable gestures. What works in one culture may not in another. Pay attention to these nuances to avoid misunderstandings. Adapting your mirroring approach shows respect and awareness. Mirroring also requires emotional awareness. If someone is upset, your gestures should reflect calm and reassurance rather than excitement or impatience. If they are joyful, your body language should mirror enthusiasm. This emotional matching strengthens the connection and communicates empathy without words. When you master mirroring, you gain a silent language that enhances every conversation. It helps you break down barriers and build trust quickly. You become someone people feel comfortable with, someone who understands beyond words. This skill transforms how you relate to others, making every interaction more meaningful and effective. This ability does not depend on being naturally outgoing or charismatic. It depends on paying attention and choosing to respond with care. It is a habit that anyone can develop through observation and practice. The more you do it, the more it becomes second nature. The power of mirroring is that it communicates acceptance and understanding before a single word is spoken. It lays the foundation for openness and collaboration. When combined with genuine interest and empathy, it makes your presence unforgettable. Remember that connection is not just what you say, but how you move and respond. Your body language speaks louder than words. When you mirror others subtly and sincerely, you create harmony and build relationships that last. Keep sharpening this skill. Notice the small details that reveal who people really are beneath their words. Reflect those details back with kindness and accuracy. This is how you create trust and influence that no one can ignore. Your ability to mirror gestures is a tool to unlock the full potential of every conversation. It transforms social moments into opportunities for connection, growth, and mutual respect. Use it wisely and watch your relationships flourish in ways you never imagined. Number 9. Stay present and avoid distractions during talks. Many people sit across from another person, but their minds are miles away. This is a common struggle that weakens every relationship and opportunity to connect. When your attention drifts, the person in front of you feels it instantly. Their words begin to bounce off a wall inside your mind. The conversation loses its energy and meaning. Staying present during talks is not always easy. Life pulls at us with endless distractions. Phones buzz, thoughts crowd in, worries distract. But if you want to truly connect and influence, this must change. The real challenge is to choose presence in a world designed to steal it away. When someone speaks, the simple act of giving your full attention honors their worth. It tells them they matter. When you stay fully engaged, you don't just hear words. You catch the feelings behind them, the hesitations, the hopes, the fears. Presence lets you respond in ways that show understanding beyond surface meaning. Without presence, your responses become shallow or robotic. The heart of communication is lost. The first step is recognizing how often your mind drifts during conversation. Most people underestimate this. Thoughts about what to say next or worries about other tasks pull you away. Your eyes might look at the speaker, but your heart and mind are elsewhere. This is a quiet form of disrespect that damages trust and closeness over time. Practicing presence means quieting your internal chatter and focusing completely on the person in front of you. A powerful way to anchor yourself is to notice small details around the speaker. Their facial expressions, the way their voice changes pitch, the rhythm of their breathing. These sensory details root you in the moment. Instead of rushing to respond or thinking about your own agenda, you listen deeply. This makes the other person feel heard and valued. When people feel this way, they open up more honestly. Distractions do not only come from technology. They also come from internal interruptions. Stress, impatience, or judgment cloud your focus. Staying present means managing these feelings. Instead of letting anxiety or boredom pull you away, you bring your mind back gently and intentionally. It is a discipline that builds over time but pays enormous dividends in trust and influence. Avoiding distractions also requires creating a conducive environment. If possible, choose settings free of noise or interruptions. Turn off your phone or put it out of sight. Remove anything that tempts your attention away. This physical preparation shows respect and signals to the other person you are fully committed to this moment. When your body is physically present but your mind is not, you miss opportunities to connect on deeper levels. Nuances in tone or hesitation reveal unspoken emotions. These clues guide your responses and build emotional connection. Presence sharpens your awareness, so you catch these details. This makes conversations richer and more meaningful. Eye contact plays a big role in presence, but it is only part of it. You can look at someone without truly being there. Real presence is a full-body experience. Your posture, breathing, facial expressions, and mental focus all work together. When you are truly present, your entire being broadcasts attention and care. This is felt deeply by others and forms the foundation of trust. When distractions take over, conversations become fragmented. Important messages get lost and misunderstandings increase. This erodes relationships slowly but surely. Staying present helps you avoid these traps. It keeps conversations clear, respectful, and productive. Presence also improves your memory and understanding. When fully engaged, your brain absorbs information better. You can recall details accurately and respond thoughtfully. This shows respect and builds credibility. People want to be heard by someone who remembers what they said and responds with insight. In difficult conversations, staying present is even more critical. Emotions can rise and tension grows. When you lose focus, you may react impulsively or miss signs of distress. Remaining present helps you stay calm and respond with clarity. It creates a safe space for honest dialogue even when topics are challenging. Learning presence takes practice. Start with short conversations. Focus on listening without planning your next words or checking your phone. Notice when your mind wanders and gently bring it back. Over time, increase the length and depth of your focus. This trains your brain to stay anchored even when distractions multiply. Presence is a gift you give yourself and others. It turns everyday interactions into opportunities for connection and growth. It shows that you value the person in front of you beyond superficial words. When you commit to being fully present, you become a rare and powerful communicator. It is important to be patient with yourself. Old habits of distraction take time to break. Celebrate small victories when you catch yourself drifting and return your attention. Every moment of presence strengthens your ability to connect deeply. Remember that presence is not about perfection. It is about commitment to the person in front of you. This commitment transforms how people experience your conversations. They feel respected, valued, and understood. This creates a foundation for lasting relationships and influence. In a world filled with noise and distraction, your presence stands out. It creates calm and focus that people crave. By staying present, you offer something rare and powerful. This opens doors to trust, collaboration, and meaningful connection. Presence is the heartbeat of social intelligence. It turns listening into understanding. It changes talking into connection. It transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for impact. Cultivate this skill and watch your relationships deepen and your influence grow beyond what you imagined. Number 10. Adapt communication style based on their behavior. Most people face moments where a conversation feels like hitting a wall. They talk and talk, but the other person seems unreachable. That feeling of disconnect is frustrating because it tells us one thing clearly. Communication is not just about what we say, but how we say it. What you say matters, yes, but equally important is how you adjust your approach to meet the other person where they are. Communication is a two-way street that demands flexibility. If you fail to adapt your style to the behavior of the person in front of you, your message risks falling flat or even creating resistance. It is common to see people sticking rigidly to their usual way of speaking. They might be direct, informal, fast-paced, or serious. This is comfortable for them, but it does not guarantee that the other person will respond in kind. The real power lies in noticing the signals others give and matching your style accordingly. When you mirror their behavior in a genuine way, you open doors. You create an atmosphere where people feel understood and valued because you meet them on their terms. Adapting your communication style begins with careful observation. Watch how the person speaks, their pace, tone, and energy. Are they calm and measured or quick and animated? Do they prefer facts or stories? Notice if they use formal language or casual phrases. Each of these clues tells you how they process information and interact. By tuning in, you become a communicator who resonates rather than clashes. A simple example is the pace of speech. If you speak too fast with someone who prefers a slow, thoughtful pace, they might feel overwhelmed or defensive. On the other hand, slowing down for someone who likes speed might bore them or signal disinterest. When you align your tempo with theirs, the conversation flows naturally and smoothly. Tone is another critical element. Some people respond best to warmth and friendliness. Others value professionalism and seriousness. Adjusting your tone helps you connect emotionally and intellectually. It shows respect for their preferences and makes your message easier to receive. The choice of words also matters. If someone uses clear and simple language, throwing in jargon or complicated phrases can confuse or alienate them. Matching their vocabulary and style signals you are on the same wavelength. This does not mean losing your authenticity, but adapting enough to bridge the gap. Adapting communication style also involves paying attention to nonverbal behavior. Notice how the person gestures, their facial expressions, and eye contact. If they are reserved and minimal with gestures, keeping your movements calm helps maintain comfort. If they are expressive and open, responding similarly creates rapport. Flexibility in communication is a skill that requires practice. It is tempting to stay in your comfort zone, but real influence comes from stepping out and adjusting to others. This shows emotional intelligence and maturity. It reflects an understanding that communication is not about winning or proving a point, but about connection and clarity. When you adapt your style effectively, resistance drops. People are more likely to listen, share, and engage. The conversation becomes a collaboration instead of a battle. This builds trust and creates opportunities to influence and inspire. It is important to note that adapting your style does not mean being fake or manipulative. It means being aware and respectful of differences. Genuine adaptation comes from a place of caring and wanting to understand. It strengthens relationships because it honors individuality rather than forcing uniformity. Sometimes adapting means changing your approach completely. For example, in a conflict situation, if the other person becomes defensive or angry, responding with calm and patience diffuses tension. If they withdraw, inviting gently with open questions encourages openness. Recognizing these shifts and adjusting your style accordingly can save conversations and deepen bonds. Adapting also applies to written communication. Matching the tone and formality of emails or messages to the recipient's style increases clarity and warmth. In the digital age, where much communication happens online, this skill is essential for building strong professional and personal relationships. The best communicators are chameleons in a positive sense. They understand that different people require different approaches. They use this knowledge to build bridges and foster understanding. This ability separates leaders from followers, connectors from isolated individuals. Developing this skill involves more than observation. It requires a willingness to step outside your ego. It means putting the other person's experience ahead of your own comfort. This humility transforms how you relate to others and expands your influence. When you commit to adapting your communication style, you gain more than just better conversations. You gain deeper relationships, greater trust, and more meaningful impact. People feel seen and heard because you meet them in their unique way. This is the essence of true social intelligence. If you take time to practice adapting your style, you will notice how doors open naturally. Conversations that once felt difficult become opportunities for connection. You build a reputation as someone who listens, understands, and responds effectively. This skill is especially important in leadership, sales, teaching, and any role that depends on influencing others. The ability to shift communication style on the fly is a powerful tool for success. Remember that every person is different. No single style fits all. Your ability to read and adjust to these differences creates a foundation for every successful interaction. Ultimately, adapting communication style is about respect. Respect for others' ways of thinking and feeling. Respect for the unique ways people express themselves. When you respect these differences, your words carry more weight, and your presence becomes more magnetic. This takes effort and attention, but the payoff is enormous. It transforms ordinary talks into meaningful dialogues, It changes misunderstandings into understanding. It turns strangers into allies. The skill of adapting communication style is a key to unlocking the power of social intelligence. It is not automatic, but can be learned and sharpened. The choice to develop this skill sets you apart and propels you forward in every area of life.